Well, as the various political parties perfect strategies for the primaries, the issue of zoning comes to the front burner again. A sudden president or the continuation of the northern leadership, Nigerians have a choice to make, and parties also have the perceptions of the public to guide their decisions. Now, will zoning be a point of importance in the party's decisions? Time will tell. Welcome to the Square. I'm Sulaiman. Well, a whole lot seemed to be happening in Nigeria. Just as the agitation was getting louder and getting more support, there seemed to be what you call a political logjam or a game plan by some power brokers. Now, the one topic that never leaves an election season in Nigeria is the issue of zoning. Now, it sees parties run from post to appease the majority of the perceptively marginalized minority, depending on their strength. Now, the North-South debate in Nigeria is a perennial one, and it never leaves, especially when there is an election in sight. Every party in Nigeria today is living with the troubles of finding the right candidate and also maintaining the unity of the people. Many candidates have announced their ambitions, but it's still unclear what these parties will decide. Will there be zoning of the candidacy, or it will be a free-for-all? Joining me to unpack this is publisher, the Wheel newspapers, Austyn, Ogannah. Good to have you, and thanks for your time. Now, we actually started this conversation in 2021, and here we are in 2022, and till this moment, both political parties, the ruling APC and the opposition PDP, they seem to be, well, not too clear as to where they're headed. Now, is zoning still on the card?
Thank you, Sulai. Always a pleasure, to engage you and Nigerians on very important issues as this one. The two political parties have somehow showed us that, or rather, somehow given us a direction of how the presidential primaries will go. In the main opposition party, the PDP, the race is purely between three people. Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State, who we know is the current frontrunner based on what we've heard and sampled. And then...
Current frontrunner?
Yes. And then we have former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and former Senate President and former Governor of Kwara State, Dr. Bukola Saraki. These are the three main runners in the PDP. But if you hold the primaries today, clearly Nyesom Wike will emerge.
You say clearly?
Clearly, if the primary is held today. For the APC, the ruling party, there's a lot of games, or rather there are lots of games that are being played by some unscrupulous people that are trying to, affect or tilt the unity of the country to a position where you and I and the Nigerian people will be disadvantaged. I say this because we've come to embrace the concept of rotation of power. We've come to embrace the concept of zoning. In almost everything that we do, So for some people in the All Progressives Party today to be making an argument that the South should not get the presidency this time, makes me and a whole lot of people, that believe in equity, fairness, and justice, makes us freak out. This argument that they seem to have, that a Southern candidate, let's even assume that Wike does not even win the PDP ticket. So let's even assume that Bukola Saraki or Atiku Abubakar or maybe Governor Bala Mohammed or even Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello, let's even assume one of them emerges the presidential candidate of the PDP. We've had instances in this country where candidates from the South have defeated candidates from the North when they try to play the Northern card. In 2003, President Olusegun Obasanjo, as an incumbent president, ran against President Muhammadu Buhari and defeated him. President Muhammadu Buhari is from the North. President Olusegun Obasanjo is from Ogun State, from the South. But he beat Buhari because Nigerians understood the concept of rotation, the concept of zoning, that because of what they did to the Yorubas and MKO Abiola, that power should remain in the South for at least 2 terms. In 2007, Obasanjo could have allowed Peter Odili, who was the front runner in the PDP, emerge the presidential candidate of the PDP, but he said no. Again, the principle of power rotation and concept of zoning, the unity of Nigeria comes first before any other thing. He said, Odili, you're not going anywhere. Power should go to Katsina. And he brought out Yaradua, and that's how Yaradua emerged president. Now, unfortunately, Yaradua died in office. That threw up President Goodluck Jonathan as acting president. In 2011, a deal was struck that Jonathan should run for 1 term because it would be very unfair to ask Jonathan not to run by virtue of the fact that Providence has thrown the presidency on his lap. And they had an agreement that Jonathan will run for 1 term.
So there was actually an agreement for President Jonathan to run just a term.
That was the deal that was negotiated. And Jonathan went in, they made all the noise. Jonathan went in and beat Atiku Abubakar and also beat President Muhammadu Buhari in 2011. The records are there. A Southern candidate beating a Northern candidate. So it is wrong for people to come up with this argument that a Southern candidate cannot beat a Northern candidate. It happened twice because Nigerians allowed it, because Nigerians believe in fairness, in rotation, and in zoning. In 2015, let me finish, please.
Yeah,
in 2015, when President Goodluck Jonathan tried and his group tried to break that zoning arrangement in the PDP, what happened? Some disgruntled people in the PDP left. The 5 PDP governors left. Nigerians rejected Jonathan because Nigerians believe in rotation and zoning. In 2015, it was the turn of the North to rule. And Nigerians revolted against President Goodluck Jonathan, and he lost in 2015. The point I'm trying to make is this. Zoning and rotation of power, have helped Nigerians, build cohesion, build unity, and give the minorities or what have you a stake in governance.
If it has always worked, for instance, looking at the last, analogy you painted or scenario,
Yeah.
it's more or less a scenario because Goodluck Jonathan, going by what you analyze now, reneged. He put himself forward for another term and he lost because Nigerians believed that it was the turn of the North. Do you still think that Nigerians think that way, especially as the next election is just around the corner? Because it would seem as if first, when we had you, last, in 2021 and also earlier this year, the conversation was looking towards a certain presidency. But all of a sudden, there seemed to be some bickering in that direction.
Yeah, you see, some people try to sell this narrative when this whole thing started. The APC had an understanding that the presidency will go to the South. And that's why you have until maybe last week, almost apart from Governor Yahya Bello of Kogi State, the rest of the aspirants were from the South. But in the PDP, there were people trying to say, oh, we're here to win elections. That's what we're interested in. We don't care about zoning. Every political party is interested in the elections. And these are, as far as I'm concerned, those that have championed this narrative or arguments are people that are doing it purely for their own selfish interests. They're not putting Nigeria first. We must learn to be patriots. We must learn to put Nigeria first in everything that we do. And I tell people that bring forth this argument, look, you cannot deprive the South, of their term. And I'll even take it further. You cannot, it is wrong, morally wrong, for power to remain in the North for another 16 years. It is wrong for a Fulani to succeed a Fulani man. It is clearly what it is. For the sake of Nigeria, for the sake of our cohesion, for the sake of all the problems we're having in the country today.
You know, sorry to cut you there, because just recently we had Dr. David Matanga, you know, an African affairs analyst, trying to analyze the elections in Kenya. By the way, Kenyans are going to the polls in August. And it was an amazing thing to see that Kenyans also have, you know, the tribal politics and politics of zoning. And that is why the incumbent and outgoing president, that's an amazing dynamics now, talking about Uhuru Kenyatta, is not backing his deputy president, William Ruto, but instead is supporting the opposition candidate because of the principle of zoning. So how does that work now? Now, this brings in President Buhari in the equation. Is the president on the side of those talking about zoning? Because he seemed to be silent till this moment.
You know, President Muhammad Buhari is someone that I have read a lot about, and I tend to understand how he, his mindset and how he does his things. And I've always somehow been on point with it. President Muhammad Buhari was one of those that fought for Nigeria's unity during the Civil War. He's a retired general, and I understand that he's given his word. It was his initial word that he gave that made that gave the South, or rather that allowed the South have the number of aspirants that picked up their forms. This is what I heard authoritatively, that President Muhammadu Buhari has said categorically that power should go to the South. That is what he has said. This is what I've heard authoritatively from people that are in his cabinet, kitchen cabinet, that power should go to the South. And that precisely, if I must even push it further, that it would be wise for the North and the South-South or the Southeast to form to reignite the old political alliance between the core North and the minorities of the South, because of the issue of trust. Because if you look at these two groups from time, they've always worked together. So that is the opinion that I understand that he has expressed. And it was based on that you had the multitude of presidential aspirants from the South. From the South. But since Abdullahi Adamu emerged as national chairman
of the APC,
he has come forward with a very diabolic and wrong political move.
You think this is about the chairman of the APC?
Yes, because it's all about leadership. It's all about leadership. It's all about the vibe that you exhume. So I believe that, he's been hijacked or he's been coerced by a group of, well, I want to watch my language because I'm really pissed at what is going on. But a group of people are just coming up with an excuse that if the PDP gives power to the North, to a Northern candidate, if PDP elects a Northern candidate, that would be very difficult for the APC to put forth a Southern candidate and defeat a PDP candidate from the North in the general election.
Let's get this right.
Yes.
The ruling party, the APC, you say some people are already saying within the APC that, look, we're watching towards the opposition. If the opposition picks a northern candidate, then we must also pick a northern candidate because it is just going to be a flop if we decide to go with a southern candidate.
Correct. And I argue and I say no. In the past, and I give two examples. President Olusegun Obasanjo in 2003 from the South beat President Muhammadu Buhari in 2003. I think President Buhari ran either on the CPC or the NPP. I can't remember the party that he ran on. In 2011, President Goodluck Jonathan defeated President Muhammadu Buhari of the CPC. And I think Atiku ran on ACN. At that time, I can't remember the party that he ran on. But President Goodluck Jonathan flawed both of them because Nigerians understand, the importance of cohesion.
If this is so important, as you put it, so how can this conversation be brought back to the table? Because you were so categorical and specific about the PDP. You have three names. You say if the primaries were to be conducted today, Governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, will emerge. But what if that is done in the APC? Who do you see emerging?
You see, for me, the APC, there's still a lot of dynamics. The APC tends to have a leader in President Muhammadu Buhari. So his position will clearly determine who emerges. So whoever he raises his hands, whoever he says, this is my preferred source, he's not made it public. But we tend to have an idea of who he's leaning towards. But in the PDP, it's different. The PDP has no one leader per se because they are not the ruling party. So it's wrong for a party like APC, that is the ruling party that has a leader, to be looking at what the PDP is doing. Because the PDP ordinarily should be looking at what the leader is doing.
So what are we likely to see? I'll still go back to Kenya. For instance, the Kenya example, they have the Azimio faction whereby about 20 political parties came together to support the candidacy of Raila Odinga, while we also have the Kwanzaa, which is about 10 political parties come together to support William Ruto, who is the deputy president. Coming to Nigeria, are we likely to see that kind of alliance to ensure that the talk about zoning, is effected?
You see, in Nigeria, it's a bit different because you have two dominant political parties, and then, you have the Kwakwanso party. I think it's the NNPP or the
NNPP.
Yeah, NNPP, the Kwakwanso party that is giving that's probably going to give the PDP and the APC a run for their money in Kano. I listened to former governor of Abia State, Ogannah on TV yesterday, and I was so disgusted by his argument. It's sad that these kinds of people are the people that we have, making our laws. He's been the former governor of Abia State. It's really sad when they come up with arguments like that, Ogannah, who himself had nursed presidential ambition and suddenly dropped out and is now saying that power should go to the north because the southwest, the Yorubas have refused to back the southeast. So because of that, he's throwing his support behind Ahmed Lawan and was going on and on and on, just to justify, as far as I'm concerned, a very selfish and self-serving position. Let Ogannah go to his people. Let him go to Abia. Let him go to his village and go and make that argument if they will not stone him.
So you think this is some kind of divisive politics?
Yes, these are just people that are trying to gaslight, trying to throw up something that is not there for their own selfish interest. I say it again, let Ogannah go to his village, let him go to his senatorial district and go and tell his people that he's not supporting an Igbo person, that instead he should support a Northerner. Let's see if he can do it. Let's see if he can do it. I dare him. Because the facts are clear. And I say this because I'm a patriot. I'm a journalist. I'm passionate about Nigeria. I don't like, where we are today as a country. The country is in trouble. And instead of doing things that will bring us together so we're united to fix the problem, some people are trying to divide us further. They even make it difficult for us to sit down and understand the issues that we have and to find a way to fix it.
You know, I had a conversation with a renowned, Nigerian, talking about Ted Peter's side, and he said something that Nigerians should, as a matter of fact, join a political party. And his argument was that you can't change the rules or the game of any club if you're not a member. So, listening to you now, what comes to mind is that, do you think that we have people who already think of such kind of change within these political parties? Are the political parties peopled by people, of change, who desire change?
Yeah, you see, I completely agree with that, every Nigerian should participate in the process. You just join a political party and express yourself. But this this will only be successful if our electoral system is foolproof and genuine, meaning that INEC continues to improve the voting process so that results actually reflect the voting pattern of people. Now, you see, the political parties are structured in such a way that no matter how many of us join the party, the position of leadership, is somehow designed for those that the owners or the godfathers of the political party determine who gets what. And that's why I wrote in my back page, I think 2-3 weeks ago, that, we should devolve a political system that rewards people in such a way that it just does not have to do with money. You have a primary system where if I choose, for instance, to run on the platform, say, of the PDP, and I'm a card-carrying member of the PDP, which allows me to declare to run for maybe the House of Reps or Senate or governor, I will need to get a particular number of signatures of party members. Say, for instance, I want to run for governor of my state, my home state, Delta, for instance. I should be able to, to get an endorsement of at least, say, Delta has a voting strength of maybe 1 million or 500,000. I should be able to go out there and canvass for genuine 150,000 Deltans or people that are eligible to vote in Delta to back my candidacy. So that automatically puts me as a serious candidate or aspirant in the race. And this is the kind of reward that we think that that aspirants or party members should get, instead of having a system where you have a delegate election where aspirants share money to delegates and they vote for them. So, for instance, with what I've just prescribed, if I go around and I get 150, verifiable signatures, that means I qualify to participate in the primary. And then after that, the primary is open to party members, verifiable party members. And these party members, if I have 150,000 people in the party that have already said I'm good to be governor or to be candidate of the party, it means that I'm strong enough to probably get those guys vote for me in an open primary. So if you have a system like that, it reduces the influence of money, where you pay delegates, it gets people more excited in the process, because true party members are choosing those that we elect that they think will win for them, and you see them turn up on general election day proper, instead of the nonsense that we had in Anambra State, where, you remember when it happened, when the APC declared ridiculous numbers, I think 300,000 or 400,000 people, in quote, voted to elect Andy Uba as the party's candidate. But on election day proper, Uba struggled. I don't think he even got 20 or 30,000 votes. So that's the problem. So taking me back to the issue of zoning and rotation of power, because that is what is on the table today. I believe, like I said, that President Muhammadu Buhari will stop this movement, because he's a man that fought for Nigeria's unity. He's a man that understands that Nigeria has to be one united in everything to be able to solve its merits of problems.
I'm trying to look at this because you have tied this to Nigeria's unity. You've also tied this to Nigeria's progress. And if you say that this may actually cause, some kind of upset in regions, what should political parties, especially leadership of political parties, be looking to doing? Because it would seem as if, when you started, it would seem as if the PDP is already looking in that direction, looking in the direction of a certain candidate. For the ruling APC, we have a lot of people. We have Governor Yaya Bello, who's from Nigeria's North Central, and, he has a good argument to say no president has come from North Central. We have Bola Tinubu, who is from Nigeria's Southwest. So now let's break it down. What would look towards the South? Will the Southwest, or are we looking at Southwest or South-South, or what southern part of Nigeria are we talking about producing the next president?
You see, from what I know and from the people I've spoken with, across party lines, across divides in the two political parties, and particularly in the APC. To answer your question, I understand that the idea is to have a presidential candidate of the APC that deals with the Igbo problem in the sense that the Igbos are agitating to rule, because since the Civil War, the Igbos have somehow feel that they haven't been given a fair share in terms, of the presidency of this country. So my understanding of the intrigues behind the power play until Adamu became president was that
chairman,
national chairman, became national chairman of the APC, was that the APC will settle for an Igbo from the minority.
An Igbo from the minority?
Yes, an Igbo from the minority, because you have Igbos that are minorities in Rivers and Igbos that are minorities in Delta. Because of this Biafra trust issue, there's this conversation that, look, the only way to manage and quell or quench the agitation for Biafra is to look for an Igbo, from the minority state that is not from the core Igbo states, in quote. You've had the influential sociocultural group, Ohaneze, has been led by an Igbo from Delta. I believe he's late now. I think it's Ralph Whichway. I'm not sure. That's his name. He was from Delta, and he was president of Ohaneze Ndigbo, right? So the idea behind this conversation I hear from authoritative sources is that if you pick a minority from either Rivers or Delta, an Igbo person, right, you'll be able to manage the Biafra problem very well, unlike going into the heart of...
And that's a problem that must not be ignored.
Yes, unlike going into the heart of Biafra, or going into the heart of the core East, and pick a candidate from there that will be so overwhelmed with the call for Biafra and the problem of Biafra, may not be able to handle the pressure. So the idea was to get somebody that has one leg in the East, has one leg in the South, so that when that pressure comes of the pressure of Biafra comes and blah, 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 this president is able to manage it properly. So that was the concept. And also, of course, to reignite the political ties between the minorities.
What's the danger? What's the danger in ditching?
I mean, it's clear. It is clear. The danger of ditching zoning will throw up more chaos, instability. Look, a house divided against itself can never stand. a people not united, can never come together to solve a problem. We have the problem of insecurity today. We have the issue of the economy, which is global because of what is happening in Russia. But the one of insecurity is indigenous to us. It's a problem that we have to deal with. It's not affecting, insecurity is not affecting South Africa. It's not affecting the United States. It's our problem. But the economic problem is global. Inflation is global because of what is happening in Russia. Because there's nothing that you do that's virtually not tied to crude and transport and what have you. So we're dealing with that. But the one we can manage is the fact that some people believe that they are not welcome in the Nigerian project. And if you have people like that, they will do things that will make the Nigerian project not work. They will do things that instead of helping to advance the Nigerian project, they will do things that would even hinder, like what is happening in the Southeast today. And you cannot remove the Southeast from Nigeria, because if you're going to measure the GDP, measure the progress of Nigeria and what have you, you look at Nigeria holistically, and the Southeast is a part of it. So how do you solve that problem? You solve that problem by bringing them closer into governance. I know power is all about rotation. Sorry, power is all about negotiation. The Southeast probably doesn't have the number. I understand that argument, but we are Nigerians.
Well, I think it's a fine place for us to anchor this for now. And again, the good thing is that, as I earlier said, I think Nigerian politicians, they need to look to studying a bit of Kenyan politics and see what the president at that point in time, Uhuru Kenyatta, did, stretching, his arm across the divide to embrace peace. I would like to thank you for your time, Austyn Ogannah, publisher of The Wheel.
Anytime, my pleasure.
Well, we'll take a moment. When we come back, we'll be digging deep to look at the Kenya elections and look at some political calculations. Stay with us.